What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Are We Recording Yet? You see this lovely man I have beside me. I said this last week when I had Queen on, that it's just going to be a conversation. This is just going to be a straight up conversation. I literally have nothing in my brain. But if you know anything about Spencer and I, is that we do like to talk. We don't really like to shut up, both of us. So this is going to be an interesting hour. So it's always fun talking with Spencer. It is someone that I can literally just go, I have no plan, but I'm sure we'll talk about something. But first and foremost, how is life? How is things? How is everything in Spencer world?
Things are good. Things are good. Like I'm busy. I feel like I've said this to you the last time we talked face to face too, a couple of weeks ago. It was like I've consciously over the last little bit taken on, like, I feel a little bit more than I can chew, just to sort of see how far you can push yourself, you know? And like eventually I'm certain when I do that, it'll crash and burn one time.
Ooh, yeah.
It has at points too. But things are good, you know. Love wrestling's going well. The real job or my shoot job, brother, is going really, really well. You know, I know it's so cliche, and I especially don't mean it to like rub things into a guy who's in the middle of lockdown, but things are going really well over here. It's sort of like as close to back to normal up in Canada as things can be. Family's good. Just got back from a camping trip. Dog is cute still, so that's great. Things are good, man. I got no complaints. How are you despite, the shit show, for lack of a better way to put it?
Well, I'm out of lockdown, which is good. Well, my state is out of lockdown. Not all of this country is out of lockdown. We still got heavy restrictions, and I can't leave the state because everywhere else is just not doing great. But you know,
worse.
All things considering, it is. Listen, I can have a complaint and have a whinge and have a moan all I want to, but it's not going to change anything. It's the way this country is operating. I don't understand it. I think most Australians would agree with me. Most of the world would probably agree with me that just we have a very poor vaccination rollout in this country. I don't get it. I'm booked in for a vaccination. I can't get vaccinated until October. I only just became eligible. I'm a frontline essential worker. I don't get it. Spencer, it's just a mess. But, you know, is what it is. Can't change it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like I cannot speak to any ways to do like a better rollout of vaccines or anything like that. I'm batting out of my weight class, man. I've got no idea how to improve the shit. So like nothing I can offer other than my sympathy, man, because it does suck. It absolutely sucks. Like I had Shazza McKenzie on the show. That's coming up tomorrow, I guess, because you're putting this out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So like I chatted with her. The state that she's in, I believe, is still under lockdown until
she's
August
in
28th.
She's in the thick of it. Like she is in the thick of it.
Yeah, and like it's surreal to think that we're still at this point, like with the Olympics right now having no fans. That's still absolutely surreal. Like it's weird, man. It's really, really weird. Love the hoodie, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I've just noticed.
Thanks. Big Bella mark, over here.
You? No.
Oh, no, I know.
I saw the video you posted today on Twitter too, where Brie Mode came up on your stream yesterday.
Oh my God. That literally gives me PTSD. I'm like, oh my God, oh no. It's just that was a long day that day. But I digress. You mentioned Shazza McKenzie. You've been talking to a lot of people lately. Actually, a lot of women in professional wrestling too. You've been talking to a lot. It's a really, obviously, you know how highly I think of you, but just what you're doing in interviews and stuff like that. Does it ever lose its, I guess, like pizzazz, its magic? Does it ever lose that kind of specialness of just like, I'm just talking to a wrestler, or does it feel special each time you talk to someone different?
No, it's still got it. You know, I still really, really love doing it. And especially now that, when I first started interviewing, it was like, let's strictly approach people that I know personally, I've got a good relationship with. So that like you and I, you've got the natural rapport. And then when you put the prep on top of it, always makes for a really great conversation. Whereas over the last little bit, I've been super lucky. Like I cannot say enough great things about Ring of Honor and the people with their PR department, because like I've had the opportunity to chat with so many ROH individuals right now. And over the last little bit, I chatted with Maserati yesterday, 2 days ago, who she was a participant in their recent women's championship tournament, or the ongoing championship tournament, I suppose. And like, to be quite honest with you, prior to this tournament, you know, you see a couple clips and stuff like that, but wasn't wholly familiar with her. And then you start to, again, do that research on someone you don't know and find different ways to approach conversations like that. That's been super, super cool. Shazza was rad because obviously a huge fan of her professionally, and you hear great things, you listen to interviews, and you can obviously assume someone's a great individual, but then you get that firsthand experience, right? Like, there are so many different reasons, I guess, now that I get to talk to people, and the people I get to talk to are great individuals on top of being great pro wrestlers. So like, no, it hasn't really it gets discouraging when, like, you know, I send out hundreds. My goal is send out 100 emails a week, like for interview requests, stuff like that. And there are weeks where I'll get like maybe an email back and it's an auto response or a, hey, please add this to our mailing list so that we can get a hold of you, whatever it might be, right? Like, gets discouraging, but like, when you get a lot of great conversations, I've had a lot of really, really great ones over the last little bit. I've got some cool ones coming up over the next couple of weeks. Like, I've got my first WWE Hall of Famer coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm psyched on that end of things. I've got my first 2-time Love Wrestling guest coming up. Someone I'm a huge, huge fan of coming on the show. Like, it's just cool. It really, really is, you know? Pro wrestling gets a bad rap. I know I've beaten this over the head with you chatting privately, man, but like, gets a bad rap, and rightfully so sometimes, for being this negative cesspool. You know how there are some people on the internet who specialize in negativity. It's so cool in my experience that any wrestlers, any content creators, any managers, promoters, anyone I've been lucky enough to interview has been fucking rad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but
so yeah,
you know,
still there, man.
The thing with you is, what I like is that there's some people, I'm not going to name names or anything like that. I'm not here to shit on anybody, but it's just, again, subjective, like with everything. But there's some people who interview professional wrestlers or whoever, and it comes across as so professional that it's boring. And there's some people that come off as too much of a fan that it just seems like you're just, you know, a little bit like immature or whatever it may be. You blend that so well of being, you're clearly a fan, you're clearly professional, but you still know how to just meet in the middle, which not everyone can do. So I like that. I
appreciate it, man. Thank you very, very much. And like, to be honest, I think that's something that I'm just lucky to have as far as, you know, my conversations go. But you can work on that. Like, all of my research, or all of my interviews, are incredibly well researched, like hours upon hours of research for every single one that I do. I'm proud of that, to be honest with you. I really don't think that there are enough podcasters, interviewers, and there certainly are a lot out there who do, and there are certainly a lot out there who are better than me, and that's nothing against me, but yeah, research isn't hard in this day and age, whether it's podcast interviews, whether it's written articles, like stuff on Cage Match is even pretty hit or miss, but you hit more than you miss with that sort of stuff. Like,
a simple Google search will help you in this day and age. Like, it's not hard.
Well, that's exactly it. And, you know, when it's as simple for me. Anybody can ask, okay, what was your first match like? What was your first bump like? Yada, yada, yada. But when somebody's already done that interview, like, it's pretty easy to find. You know, for example, if I wanted to interview Stone Cold Steve Austin, just as an easy name, it's pretty easy to find, okay, Stone Cold Steve Austin interview. You literally would click the first link on Google, and in the first 15 minutes of that interview, they're going to answer that question, whoever your subject is, whether it's Stone Cold, Gilbert, anyone in between.
Here's the thing with someone, okay, I know Stone Cold Steve Austin is shooting very high. You know, he's done some things. But that being said, he has his own format of his own show. He knows what it's like to interview and to be interviewed. There's also a difference between that, because there's a lot of professional wrestlers that you're speaking to that also have their own podcast, that also have their own interview show. They know what it's like to be on both ends. They can see when you're just phoning it in. There's no point in phoning it in. It's better to just not do the interview if you're going to phone it in my opinion. But that's just me. I mean, I'm not an interviewer. I'm not someone that claims to be an interviewer. But from what I like to watch and what I can kind of judge as just a fan, that's how I kind of take in interviews, because they all can roll into the one. They really can.
There are so few professional wrestlers. What's the best way to phrase this? There are so few podcasters that professional wrestlers aren't helping out by going on their show, if that makes sense. If I'm interviewing somebody, they are doing me the favor hopping on my show. Now there's individuals like if you're hopping on with Sean Ross Sapp or Chris Van Vliet or Denise, or individuals who are great at what they do, who are big platforms, obviously getting news out there. In Sean's case, Chris is winning Emmys for what he's doing. Denise is all over, like just easy examples. Professional wrestlers benefit as much from going on their shows as the Chris Van Vliets and those sorts of individuals benefit from having the wrestlers on. For someone like me, you know, in the nicest way possible, I think I'm courteous. I think I'm good at what I do. I think I'm a super happy person, enthusiastic, not a waste of time, for lack of a better way to put it. But every single professional wrestler that's come on my show has done me the favor by doing so, because naturally, like, nobody's watching. And again, I mean this in the nicest way to me. Nobody's watching because Spencer Love did another interview. They're watching because, hey, I'm a fan of Veda Scott, and oh my goodness, look at all the cool stuff that's on Love Wrestling. Look at the legacy of. Listen to Turnbuckle Rewind, whatever else we've got on the YouTube channel, right? So I agree with you completely. Is like, when that's
to be fair, Spence, to be fair, you're trying to build a brand at the moment. You're trying to build this from nothing. And I
want to be. My goal is to be one of those, like Chris Van Vliet's or Sean's, right? So again, there's, in the nicest way, I do say with confidence in what I do, but like, ain't nobody benefiting because they came on Spencer Love's show as much as I'm benefiting that they came on my show.
You're not looking at it through like rose-colored glasses. You're doing it in a sense of like, I'm realistic about this, but I also have aspirations to be blah,
hell yeah. If you don't have a goal in this, if you're stagnant, you're gonna
or whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But when that's the case for so many podcasters and interviewers and anything like that, like you say, why would anybody phone it in? Why would anybody not do their research? Why would anybody ask those? You know, there's nothing more frustrating than when I'm doing research and you listen to the hour-long interview that's the same 15 questions, and there's always going to be crossover. Right. And if somebody's being interviewed for the first time ever, then you're going to ask those questions. But like, again, if you're interviewing someone like a Matt Taven or a Shazza McKenzie or a Veda Scott, or like some of those individuals who certainly have been interviewed before, have certainly been asked about their first bump and training and all of that stuff. Well, why would they ever want to come on my show potentially again if they know that I'm not going to take the time to put in the effort for them? You know?
Yeah, no.
So I don't ever claim to be the great test, but I also claim that I do my research, and I provide a fun time. There's nothing more. There's nothing I take as a bigger compliment than the fact that I have in a lot of my interviews recently had our guests say, "Oh, you did your research," or "Oh, cool, you listened to this interview," or whatever it might be. Like, that for me is the best compliment a guy can get.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll put you over towards the end of the episode because I don't want to get too sappy now, but I will put you over later.
Put me over always. That's fine.
Spencer Love, so fucking great. But talking about Love Wrestling, we knew we were going to talk about it at some stage because...
No, I said this was off limits. We got to edit this part out.
Look at here. Look at the name at the top of the show says Josh Robinson. So you're in my house now, buddy. You're in my house now. So
3 minutes of playtime.
You know, Love Wrestling has January 1st is when Love Wrestling launched. We're now 8 months in, 9 months in. What month are we in?
8 months as of today, man. It's August
hell?
1st we're recording, not to tear the curtain back too much for you. Yeah, what the hell? Time flies when you're throwing watches, hey?
Wow, that was truly a joke there, Spencer. Great work. Love Wrestling has certainly come a long way in 8 months, and as it's no secret that I'll speak for my kind of time in Love Wrestling, but we've been talking about Love Wrestling since basically this time last year, maybe a little bit later, but you approached me and said, hey, blah, 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 I want you to do something. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to do something. It changed over time, and what I contribute to this place, and the amount of people that have come in since even just launching and since we talked, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But how do you feel about Love Wrestling right now? How do you feel about the position that it's in, and all the people that you've got kind of working with you, and how do you feel about all that? Because I never really,
Things are neat.
granted, we talk a lot.
Oh yeah.
Pulling back the curtain, we DM a lot, but it's not really often that I get an opportunity to really ask you, like, how is it from your perspective of what's going on with Love Wrestling and seeing everyone's
Dude,
work and seeing your own work?
It's so cool, like the community we've built is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
It's not just like, hey, for lack of a better way to put it, like me coming in and laying down the law and here's what we've got to do this week. And Josh, you need this, and this done by Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And like the coolest part of any of this for me, and I've told these guys I use it as the example all the time, so I'll use it again, is like, I didn't know either Pluggo or JPJ before this started, right? Like JPJ literally was a Quizplex contestant. And then Pluggo I knew as like someone I interacted with on Twitter at best. And the fact that both of those guys have come on and joined the site on taking a chance on me and on us and been such integral parts outside of what they do themselves. And then for them to like what they're doing enough on the site to get to know each other and form between two beards. And yeah, they blow my budget every week. But like the fact that that was something that just like developed organically as, literally something that was born of Love Wrestling, for lack of a better way to put it, is so very cool. And like, with the Turnbuckle Rewind guys, they came on and they were going to do their podcast once a week. And then Joe's hopping on now like pretty well every stream out there. And he was the guy who came up with the idea for blowing off stream. And Carl's hopping on as often as he can. And like any way that he can be promoting our stuff on YouTube and Facebook, like it's so cool, like we are incredibly lucky, as cliche as it sounds. And I always, whenever I listen to interviews with other people, I always was like, ugh, that's so cliche, but like wouldn't be able to do it without any of the individuals who are involved, right? Like any turnover we've had, like you and I, anytime we've talked, is like have priorities in your life and have them until this is the $1 million organization. And like if people are stepping back from pro wrestling because they've got family stuff to do, not because they hate what they're doing with Love Wrestling, cool. And the fact that like we're growing, like you've mentioned, we're going to be announcing, I think, 3 or 4 new contributors this week, depending on getting graphics done for all of them, is so cool. And like, again, you even allude to it off the bat, is like you start doing network and chill. It's your baby. You're doing great with it. And then cock, it shows up and we get completely screwed by that, for lack of a better way to put it, as far as the podcast goes. And it's not, oh, well, this sucks. Well, there goes my time in Love Wrestling. Like, man, what you're doing with the legacy of, like, you go through our stats on YouTube, and I know you can, like, you've got our 3 highest viewing videos, right? It's nuts. Everybody's doing something rad, and I love being a part of it. I love being a part of it. And the fact that we get to do cool stuff is I can't put it any better than Jeremy Lambert on Fightful puts it. Like, I just get to do dope stuff with my friends. Like, I'm going to SummerSlam with JPJ in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's
right.
Well,
what?
That's insane. To be fair, like, it's insane that it's timed up so you can travel. Because the world has been a shitstorm, so that's really lucky. And on top of that, it's SummerSlam. It's a stadium of 70,000 people or some BS like that. Like, there's going to be a lot of people in Vegas. Like, it's going to be a party. Man. Have you ever been to Vegas before?
I was in Vegas when I was like fresh 21, basically, and it was a blast. But yeah, it's been 9 years. I have a list of things that I want to do. I know for a fact that I'm going to hit a karaoke bar. I haven't done karaoke in almost 17 months. That's disappointing to me. There's a bar, and I forget the name of it, but there's a bar in Vegas where quite literally there's like 8 to 10 beer pong tables set up in the middle of it. So I'm going to go play some beer pong. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to do some cool content while I'm down there too.
Ooh, yeah.
Like,
I'm
if you're watching this and you're going to be in Vegas, let's do an interview.
just casual plug, because what.
Oh yeah, always got to get them in there.
do it. I
Always
love that.
always got to. But yeah, man, it's pretty incredible. It's really incredible
No, it's cool.
what we've been able to do. Like, it ain't, again, just myself. It's like
No.
we've got at this point 26, 27 contributors in that Slack group that we've got going on.
Wow.
And like all of them are bringing something to the table and working hard, and you know, they give a shit. And some of the best advice I've ever gotten was from a guy named Mike Steele. I worked with him at Joey Restaurant, and he says you can teach anybody to do anything, but give a shit, right? And we've got 27 people on there who care.
It's amazing what a human being can do when they're driven and when they're passionate about something, and just for a love of professional. It's weird that it sounds so corny, but like, we're all here because we genuinely do like wrestling in some form. We love wrestling in some form. It's not just a catchy title for a group of people. We all genuinely have different loves. None of us are the same when it comes to wrestling, how we consume wrestling. And that goes across the board, but all 26 or 27 of us, like you said, we're all very different individuals of how we watch, what we watch, how we take in wrestling. And that's what I think works so well. You didn't just try and find 27 Spencers. You know what I mean? Like, you tried to find 27 different people.
Most people don't want one Spencer.
Look, again, subjective taste here, but but you really did, because you and I are not the same. You and Zach are not the same. Me and Zach are not the same. It is really cool. And, you know, I say this a lot to you, and I say this a lot on Twitter, but I do need to give you some props and give you just from my end of things, because I've done content for just over 3 years, and I've never had something get as much support and as much love as I've done with the Legacy of. And I know I put it over a lot, and I know I speak about it a lot, but I do consider it something so close to me because I'm just talking about things I love in wrestling. I really am. I'm highlighting women that are just great. And that's where I shine. It's where I'm most passionate in. It's where I have the most knowledge in. But B, you took a chance on that. You allowed me to do what I wanted to do, because I've been in other places doing content, and it's very easy to manage somebody, and it's very easy to micromanage what they're making. You allow me to just do whatever I want. You know what I mean? So I need to thank you, because I know it's not all about numbers, but it's very humbling, and it's very it motivates me, because I'm like, people are actually digging what I'm producing, and that doesn't often happen for any content. Content creators will know that. You can put hard work into anything, and you can get 3 people that watch it, and you're like, I just spent hours doing that. And this doesn't feel like work. This doesn't feel like anything. It just feels like this is what I should have been doing this entire time. But so thank you for taking a chance on me, because I'm just a kid from bumfuck nowhere, Australia. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just in the middle of nowhere, and I'm just
you're in the middle of nowhere. Talk about Edmonton, Alberta for a lot of different things, okay? I love the town I'm from. We got a lot of great pro wrestling here and throughout the province, but in the grander scheme of things, we are certainly not Chicago. We are certainly not New York. You know what I mean? But number one, man, like, it's kind of nice because, again, you and I only really met face to face when you were going to become part of the site, but it ain't like we hadn't interacted before. I guess much in the same way I was talking about Pluggo earlier, is like we chatted online, hadn't met. But the way I've started to put it, and again, not to make too many comparisons, because content creation and pro wrestling are not the same, but in a lot of ways, like, they are, right? There's no sense. A lot of the biggest complaints you hear about some of the world's major promotions are, well, they're so micromanaged, and you can't just hand somebody a script and have them be passionate about it and rah, right? I'm of that belief, whether or not I enjoy a lot of the stuff that promotion puts out. You got to let people be themselves. You got to let people do, again, what they love in pro wrestling and what they love to chat about. And whether it's women's wrestling or death matches or Joshi or, you know, like Headlock Talk that Tanner's doing for us, looking at sort of the dark side of the ring mentality to things. I think that one of the things that's really changed the most about Love Wrestling is like everything is more respectful now than it is positive. You know what I mean? Like there's so many aspects of professional wrestling that simply aren't positive. and there are definitely some that we leave alone explicitly on Love Wrestling, but like, it's one of the coolest things for me is that Tanner's approached me. He's doing a podcast on quite literally like one on the Hogan Gawker scandal, and he's got one on the Saudi plane incident and all of that sort of stuff. It's like very journalistic, for lack of a better way to put it, but the time and effort and care that he puts into it, you can again just tell that he loves it, right? So like it's become more of a, you don't need to wave the flag of positivity. I love it, but it's more, let's celebrate what you love in professional wrestling in a respectful manner, right? Because there are very cool things, like even for me, I'm a fan of the macabre and stuff like that in pro wrestling, and Dark Side of the Ring obviously is the easy comparable for a lot of that sort of stuff. But I love that series. And by no means is it a positive series in the traditional sense of rah, rah, rah. But it is a very well done, tasteful, I guess, loving series in the energy people put into it, right? So, yeah, I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but it is been very, very cool, man, to see what this has turned into. Like, even for you and I, did I expect at the start of Love Wrestling that, you and I would be sitting down and just having a face-to-face conversation about your experience as a gay professional wrestling fan? Absolutely not. But that was one of the, coolest things I think to have come out of not just Pride Month and the cool things we did on that end, but what we've done is Love Wrestling, because it's cool that in our own, small way, we're able to do something big.
Yeah, I think that's it is really special in that sense. And for me, this last year has been a very big change in my life just personally, but I think the thing I feel most from you and the most from everyone on Love Wrestling is that for me, the biggest thing I always look for in life, just because of my experiences with coming out, is acceptance. And I think that we're all very accepting of one another, our backgrounds, where we are in the world, where we are in our lives. We're all various in age, we're all various in experience in life, we're all various in whatever. And I think that's really important as well, is that we're very accepting of one another and one another's love of wrestling too, because at the end of the day, we are here to speak about wrestling, and it's just cool. It's just a really cool thing. But it would be a disservice to me to have a podcast video, whatever you want to call it, and not at least bring up the fact. I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit about this. We can bring the kind of tone down a little bit, but Bray Wyatt got released in the last 24 hours, just over 24 hours at time of recording. Listen, I hate going to sleep lately because I wake up and that's when all the releases happen in my time zone. So, it's just great to wake up and be like, oh, well, that happened. But there's been a lot of releases in the last couple of years over in WWE, and, that's been talked about to the death. We don't need to really add to that. But Bray specifically, not someone I was expecting to be released at all, but the question I have for you is there no such thing in WWE anymore as a WWE life talent? They're just there forever. Mainly, apart from the exception of like a John Cena or those kind of people, but people like Bray Wyatt.
Think so.
I don't. Did you ever expect to see that article? Like WWE has released, for lack of a better term, The Fiend.
No, I didn't. And I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here in the answer. Is that number one, dude, quite literally, two of my three favorite professional wrestlers in WWE were released over the last year. And certainly I know you can relate, like Bray Wyatt, Chelsea Green, no longer with the promotion. Like that personally really sucks for me. Both of them are, again, two of my favorite pro wrestlers. But on the flip side of things is like, I don't think there is ever going to be, nor do I think it's a bad thing that there's not going to be a WWE lifer anymore. Like I don't have any idea outside of what like Meltzer has reported that it was a budget cut. That was the excuse given to Bray. Exactly. I'm using my air quotes with it as well, man. But I have no idea what went into this specific one with Bray. It's gutting right off the bat, but man, if that guy chooses to stay in professional wrestling, that guy's an asset wherever he goes. If he chooses to do, like a lot of people have said, he'd be great with horror movies or getting into acting or movie making or stuff, like there's no arguing that guy's one of the most creative individuals in pro wrestling. So whatever he chooses to
what a
do next, great. It's just gutting that, like, as a fan, you know, I loved The Fiend. I was all in on The Fiend from front to back. I was at SummerSlam, got to see a house show before the Hell in a Cell debacle. Again, I hate always complaining about, oh, he should have been booked better and yada, 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 because it feels like a very generic complaint.
But Spence, not to interrupt, but like, this isn't a knock on
he
you, and
should've.
it isn't a knock on me, but what the fuck do we know? We're not booking the thing.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I can say everything I say is as a fan. You know, we should have the disclaimer at the start of the show. No, you're bang on, man. It's like it's whenever we're talking, even on the Sunday brunch too. It's like I ain't got no inside information. But yeah, like I love me some Bray Wyatt, and whatever that guy chooses to do next, whether it's inside or outside professional wrestling, I'll support him 110%.
But I do think, just like a very good mind for professional. Well, just a very creative mind in that he thinks he doesn't. You can tell that man doesn't just think in the box of a 20 by 20 ring. You know what I mean? Like he really thinks outside of it. And listen, The Fiend is a risk. That thing could not have. That thing could have sunk from the very beginning and been
right
like,
off the bat.
What the fuck is this? Like it's
and they sold $6,000 titles, and they actually sold some of those $6,000 titles, right? Like
exactly.
But on the flip side of all of it, Josh, is like, okay, with everything going on with CM Punk and the rumors there, and Daniel Bryan and the rumors there, and like, there haven't been a lot of misses from most of the WWE releases, whether it's Miro, whether it's Malachi Black thus far, whether it's Deonna last year, anyone who has continued to stay in pro wrestling. I would say 8 out of 10 of the individuals released on an average basis absolutely nail what they're doing next. Like, you even look at Steve Maclin in Impact, and it's only been the few weeks that he's been with Impact, but he's killing it. I'm loving it, right? Like Aiden English or Drama King returns last night at Homecoming, and same thing, wins the Homecoming King crown with, oddly enough, Deonna Purrazzo. Like, I think that we're really going to start to see, and if Punk and Bryan turn out to be true, because knock on wood, I hope to hell they are.
Me too.
Those will really, for me, be the first, like, you know, it's the best way to put it is like, if you want to be like pro wrestler in the grand scheme of things, like rather than pro promotion, you've got to give independent contractors the best possible opportunities in the grand scheme of things. And if somebody potentially going to this promotion makes them earn a pay raise from this promotion, or they go to the promotion they want to go to because they've got the creative freedom that they wanted and yada, 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 like, the more opportunities out there for professional wrestlers, managers, commentators, anybody out there, the better, right? Like, a rising tide raises all boats. So if Bray Wyatt leaves and he goes and tears it up in Impact with Decay, yes, I'm right behind that. And if he goes to AEW and I don't know, I don't want to say Dark Order because I really don't want anybody to leave the Dark Order ever again. But if he goes to AEW and does as he so chooses there, then great. That's a great thing for pro wrestling.
Exactly.
Pro wrestling fans, all elite. Like, yeah, I don't think there will ever be a WWE lifer outside of, you know, like you said, your Cena's, Reigns, those sorts of individuals. And I think that gets proven time and time again. Like, Braun was released. Bray was released.
Braun was the one that really surprised me. Not because he was my favorite wrestler ever. It's just more so the fact that I'm like, that just screams a WWE talent. He looks like a WWE talent. He's big. He's Braun, no pun intended. But he's
SummerSlam last year, the main event of SummerSlam last year, both the guys were released.
Yeah.
They're both gone now.
It's insane to think about. But a couple of things off of that. First thing is, anybody that's listening to this that's taking out the Bray Wyatt release on Alexa Bliss like it's her fucking fault, get a grip.
Oh, you deaf.
Honestly. She is just literally being told what she is doing. Here, you're doing this character now. Doing a great job, by the way. Yes, okay, it's probably
talked about how much she loves doing it. Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
and she was obviously shocked in the sense of like, holy shit, the dude that this idea was spawned out of is now no longer with me. And I'm really, really frightened that the heat from this is going to reflect on her. And I don't think that's deserved at all. Because to be honest, like, okay, I'm not a big fan. Like, there's been some stuff with her character that I haven't been like necessarily the biggest fan of, like the hypnotism and stuff. It's gone a little far. But taking that aside, she's done a great job at this character. She's very good in this role, and I'm just really scared that now that this is going to take out on her. I would not be surprised at all, Spence, that in the next couple of weeks she just kind of disappears and then comes back as, you know, normal Alexa.
I don't know. I really hope not, man. And that's the thing too, is there are far too many pro wrestling fans out there who still conflate the performer with the people behind them. Right. And like, man, again, The Fiend is a perfect example for me. There were certainly some storyline decisions. Like, again, I use the word Hell in a Cell debacle, or the phrase Hell in a Cell debacle, because I certainly didn't like it. But at the end of the day, that's a human being. There's a human being behind all of that. And yeah, I hate the story. And certainly there's time to dislike a story, but like, either A, don't watch. I know that's such a cop-out, but if you're going to be like the people hate watching this thing and, oh, Bray Wyatt sucks and what were they doing and F this and F that and, oh, this is awful and what kind of an idiot would ever go into a ring with this, you know, all of the exactly. And like, leave the people out of it is the best way I can put it. You know, you see it with so many people too. And you know, Seth Rollins, I think has definitely put his foot in his mouth in a lot of ways. He's said things, but I also don't disagree with a lot of the things he's said, in the sense that, you know, people are fickle towards the people. There are a lot of storyline decisions in Seth Rollins' Universal Championship run that I didn't like either, but like, you attack the guy as a person and, oh, F you and F your family, and like, what?
Yeah, what the hell?
What?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Come on.
I don't understand it.
You know, if you and if I like the color red and you like the color blue, well, it's not, well, I hate Josh and he's a terrible person and this is awful and, oh my goodness, what a terrible person, right? Like, if I think Trish is the greatest, you think Lita's the greatest, cool. Okay, God forbid.
We had a whole fucking debate over Sean and Brett, but I didn't attack.
But I'm still upset that you won by shaking your ass. Like, let's just get real.
I'm glad I won by shaking. That's the biggest reason why I'm so happy that I won, because I shook my ass. My ass has gotten me into many predicaments, Spencer, in my life, and this is.
You glad you got you out of one?
So you know, but you are right, and you know, another thing that I wanted to just add to this whole thing before we move on from this topic is that. And this isn't like a thing of like, I'm not happy that anyone lost their job at all. But a lot of people, not all of us, did scream for people that are not being used to just be let go. I know all of them weren't not being used. A lot of them were being used. But a lot of these people were not being used, and now they have a chance to go and flourish. If it wasn't for the release of my two favorites in wrestling, that being Cass and Jess, Billy and Peyton, I wouldn't have got off her chops. I wouldn't have the opportunity to see what they're like outside of wrestling and their aspirations outside of the ring, because they were so constricted by just, and I'm not knocking WWE, they're a business. Do what you want. I'm not paying anyone's bills. So therefore I have no right to comment on what they do as practices for their business, but they weren't allowed to do this kind of stuff. So now I can see them in a different light. Renee Paquette, her podcast is my favorite thing that I watch in a week. Oral Sessions is fantastic. She was not able to do that when she was employed by WWE. So let people flourish outside of the ring, and then, you know, obviously these people will probably land in other places, and that's where my eyes will go for the... I like talent. I don't necessarily give a shit about the promotion. Yeah, okay, I watch primarily WWE. It's just because, listen, I work a job.
It's the most convenient.
Other things. It's just there. It's just accessible to me. But it's not to say that I don't watch other things. People just like to pigeonhole me and like, he likes WWE. Yes, I do like WWE, but I also like AEW. Listen, I love wrestling, but I'm not going to watch it every single day of my life. It would drive me insane.
No.
So I just
that's how you start to hate wrestling.
And then I just pick and choose the clips, and I go, okay, I'm going to watch that. I'll seek it out if I want to view it. So, you know, I'm very happy for talent in that respect to be able to fly a little, let their wings kind of out a bit. And for the people that are still employed by WWE, all I can do is hope for the best, watch what I'm given, judge it based on that, and move the fuck on with my day. You know what I mean? I don't mean it in a dismissive way, but I watch wrestling and then I go, okay, that was bad, that was good, that was indifferent, and I go.
This is what I enjoyed. This is what I didn't like. Exactly. And then I've got grocery shopping to do or some shit. Exactly, man. Exactly. I won't understand the need to
Overanalyze?
Yeah. It's not even overanalyzed. Like shit. As a guy who runs a wrestling network, I shouldn't be sitting and complaining about like overanalyzing pro wrestling, but like the
Oversaturating yourself with it?
investment. Like I don't think that there's a need to have it ruin your day, like you say, if you don't like something in professional wrestling, or have it be like this major weight on your shoulders. Obviously, like even yesterday, it certainly affected me that Bray Wyatt was released, but at the end of the day, I'm very lucky. Am I going to have something like that ruin a day when I'm lucky enough to sit here and, like you say, shoot the shit with you for an hour today and go outside right after this and hang out with my puppy? And like, there's more important things, and there's no need for people to, again, have it be this weight. Pro wrestling's supposed to be this fantastic, wonderful, terrific release, just release from everything, and to have it be exactly.
So, it is what it is. I understand it, and I do get that people that get upset, and I'm not saying that you can't have a reaction to something and think the way you want to think. Do what you want, but also just remember that you have life outside of professional wrestling, and just move on with your day, and I don't know, go smoke a cigarette. Whatever you fucking do, just go and do it. Like, just do it. Like, just live your life. But, you know, moving on from professional wrestling, because yuck, who wants to talk about wrestling for an hour? But something else I want to talk about, and you're gonna call me a little shit for this, and I don't give two shits. How's it going trying to adapt to the world of Twitch, Spence? Because you've asked me so many questions in the past,
you know what, man?
I'm like, oh, poor Spence. Yes, he's getting there.
Yeah, I am getting there. Honestly, like it sort of sucks. I've started to compare it to like skiing, where it's pretty easy to like basically pick up, and like if I wanted to sit here and just do a stream with no graphics, no nothing like that, no anything behind it, pretty easy, like pretty simple to do. When you want to start to like, you know, actively what's a good comparison, I guess, like just make a good looking Twitch product, I guess is the best way to put it, and get overlays down and have notifications pop up when people are donating bits or when people subscribe to you, like that sort of stuff. Admittedly, we're pretty limited by the program that we use for all of our live streaming, and I don't want to shit on any programs because it's quite literally the only issue I've found with it. But that stuff was definitely difficult to get used to, because coming from a guy who, like, I've only ever, up until getting on Twitch before WrestleMania, we only ever streamed on like Facebook Live or YouTube, which are very different things. Like, it's very just strictly comment based. You're not going to have any sort of random who's it's and what's it's galore, I suppose, for lack of a better way to put it. That was a whole new animal to get used to. But like, the thing that I really appreciate about Twitch, man, and like, you know, nobody is in professional wrestling content creation. You know, I talked earlier about wanting to be a CVV or SRS or who's another initialed person. I don't know. Damn it. Wish I had one. Nobody's in this to make money right off the bat, but like the fact that Twitch has helped us like put money back in our contributors' pockets and helped to pay for some stuff on the site and allowed us to like get decent graphics done rather than relying on me to do it because mine would suck. That stuff helps a ton. You know, it's one of the huge advantages on that end of things. And it is more of an interactive culture rather than just, like I said, very only comments based. Like it's cool, you know, you see the support that people get when they gift a sub to somebody and how excited they get, or like getting a hype train going and seeing again the community get behind you. We talked earlier about like the Love Wrestling community among the contributors, but that's been the coolest thing too, is like seeing how many people are like fans of ours and friends of ours. Like it's just neat. You know, the people always hopping up in the comments, like Reese or like again, dude.
So we lost Spence because he turned into a robot. He was talking about
I think it's just a gimmick. Yeah, I think it's just a gimmick at this point that like if I'm hopping on one of your shows, my internet has to crap out at some point.
We're talking about Twitch, by the way, but it is what it is. It's fine, you know. I'll just my editing's listen, I'm not going to edit it that well. This show is just going to be popped together, and we'll just roll with the punches as we go.
There's going to be like a very like clear cut transition.
It'd be like, and then it'd be like, oh well, yeah. But it's no big deal. We're just talking about how much. I'll chime in and just add this to Twitch before I want to talk about something else. But Twitch is something that I know when I stream and when I jump on Twitch, it's so fun to me because I get people that come into there's literally people that come into every single one of my streams, and that's cool. And to build this little community, not only that, Spence, listen, I live on the other side of the world. A lot of you guys get to all meet up and hang out. I've met a lot of cool Australians that we're planning to do stuff when Australia opens back up. There's a lot of Australians that are like, hey, I love wrestling too. Let's all meet up in this place and hang out. Like, that's cool to me as well. So, and I've met a lot of them through Twitch. So that's
so cool, man.
I love Twitch. I genuinely love Twitch. I love streaming. I'm not the best streamer in the world. I'm definitely not the best gamer in the world. I'm quite poor at games, but I love having a good time. Well, I've seen you play Jackbox. You're pretty good at that.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'm gonna pretend there was no sarcasm there. We're gonna move forward with that as a nice positive comment from my friend Josh Robinson. Right?
But speaking of positive, there was something that we talked about a long time ago that it just never happened. Let's spend the last 20 minutes of this chat doing that. Let's talk about Taylor motherfucking Swift, all right?
Because yes, let's do that.
Taylor Swift is somebody that gets a very poor reception from a lot of people. She can only write breakup songs. She can only do this. She fits into this bubble. I don't like the new Taylor Swift. I don't like the old Taylor Swift. Blah, 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 blah. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. I think she's pretty damn rad.
Everybody should be a fan of Taylor Swift. I this
agree.
whole she can only write breakup songs has been like proportionately disproven. It's been like conclusively disproven. I should have said to phrase that better. Taylor Swift is rad. And I personally am incredibly excited to see what happens when she announces her tour. Because like, she's got 3 albums to tour behind right now, Josh.
I know.
3. She never even toured Lover yet. What?
Oh, she hasn't toured that yet. Oh, no, Giddy.
No. It's okay if Giddy's going to hop in. Like, I'm certain you've heard JP whining a couple of times in the background here. He's like lying behind the chair because his dinner's in about 10 minutes. So we'll put up with a whiny JP here for a bit.
but it is true about Taylor in the sense of, I think that Taylor is, if not the most successful female artist of all time, she's certainly up there with highest grossing female artist in the history of
she has to
music.
Be. She has to be.
I think she might. I honestly think she might. I think I've seen something like that she's the highest.
Man, if it's not her,
grossing.
it has to be like her. And if it's not, it's like Madonna or Diana Ross.
Pink, maybe.
Or like
Pink's got to be in there, right?
I've got so much love for Pink, but like,
me too.
Do you put Pink? That's what I was just gonna say.
Let's talk about this kind of this surrounding of the
diva pantheon. Yeah.
Like it's
so
Taylor's definitely in there. Madonna's probably by proxy in there. Is Britney?
Oh yeah, Britney's for sure in there.
Free Britney, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, that's not even a question. Free Britney. Fun one for you. I was going to do an interview with Kevin Federline, and then Free Britney Spears came out. Or what was it? Freeing Britney? What was the documentary? Saving Britney Spears or whatever?
Freeing Britney? Saving Britney?
Something like that.
Something like that. It was a very good documentary.
Britney Spears. Yeah. Fantastic documentary. So yeah, I was going to do one because I wanted to chat with Kevin Federline about his appearances on Monday Night Raw and how he holds a win over John Cena.
He does.
And he does. Billy Gunn 1-0 against John Cena, by the way. There's a fun fact for you as well.
Well, there you go. We love it.
He's an ass man, and he's 1-0 against John Cena.
Sorry. Can I ask you why you wouldn't put Pink in that upper echelon of those?
It's purely just like my own personal fandom. I think she's a terrific singer. I really like a lot of her individual songs, but like I've never listened to a full Pink album. I don't know. Just like was one of those ones that like I like what I've heard, but has slipped through and I've heard nothing but great things. Lady Gaga, same thing as I was never a Lady Gaga fan until
But she's got to be.
Yeah.
Gaga's got to be
Lady Gaga.
She's Lady Gaga. Like Madonna, Taylor, Beyonce, I guess, has got to be in there. She's like the queen of the world or
Beyonce,
something.
Cher. I'd put Cher in there.
Would you?
She's had a 5-decade career. Come on,
True.
she's absolutely in there.
True. Okay.
6 decades. Holy cow! Because like I Got You, Babe came out in like 68.
What about Dolly? Dolly Parton.
Oh yeah, Dolly Parton's absolutely pantheon. Absolutely. Yeah, no, like there's no question. Because Dolly Parton is like a good human being.
Yes.
Dolly Parton. Also, if we're gonna talk about Dolly Parton, special shout out to her hit song "Headlock on My Heart," featuring one Hulk Hogan, starring as Starlight Starbright. If you guys ever want to check out, quite literally the greatest music video made of all time. It is the only time I'm ever happy to bring up Hulk Hogan. That and I guess the time where he's like
that on a show.
No, never. Like, there's only 2 things that I'll actively reference with Hulk Hogan now is like that music video and then that promo with the Dungeon of Doom where he like touches the water and says, it's not hot. Like I'm always down for a Hulk Hogan looking like an idiot. I really am.
I think so. If you want that, Spence, but
but yeah, Dolly Parton, absolutely a pantheon talent. Diana Ross has to be in there too.
Whitney,
we're forgetting about.
Be in there? Whitney Houston.
Yeah, I think so.
She stands the test.
How many are we
at?
We've got 6, right? I think there's about 6.
We just named every female songwriter or singer ever. So
Whitney's in there. It depends, because like I'd put Linda Ronstadt in there.
You see,
but I don't know.
Then there's the other thing of like,
that's where you really start to like break off.
Female performers, or are we just putting pop women? Because then you got to talk about Stevie Nicks, because Stevie Nicks is someone that broke barriers in the terms of a lot of things. So
yeah, that's true.
It's a very big conversation. But to be fair, to go back to the original statement of Taylor Swift, I do think I genuinely seen that she's the highest grossing female single artist of all time. And that doesn't surprise me.
Are you down for a fact check? I'll give you a fact check.
Go for it.
Now. That's what we'll do.
Go for it.
Highest grossing female artist.
Something highest, something like that. Yeah.
Artists ever. I hope it doesn't give me painters. All right. Not only. So here's a good one for you. Not only is this individual the highest grossing female artist of all time, she is the highest grossing solo artist of all time, the most touring female musician ever, and the best selling female recording artist of all time globally. The answer, my friend, is none other than Madonna.
It's Madonna. All right. I've never been a huge Madonna mark.
In the US. So I bet you will never guess who she trails in the US, because she trails only one person for album sales in the United States.
Oh God. Like, is it a
also female? Also female.
And I'd never guess it.
I don't think you'd guess this one. I'd be impressed if you did, because I certainly wouldn't have guessed it. I don't even primarily think of this person as a singer.
Oh God, I'd have no idea. I literally have. I have no idea. If it's none of those women that we mentioned.
Barbra Streisand.
All right. Good. Go off, Barbara.
Is Barbara in the pantheon then?
Well,
I think she's got to be on Merit Alone. Has to be. Like, that's
yeah.
Those are some GOAT numbers right there. No, and that ain't a testament. She's talented. Love me some Babs.
No.
But I think of her as an actress first.
Me too. It's weird. Madonna, although it makes sense, I think I know we're roughly around the same age, Spence, but I think I just come in like a little late to the Madonna.
See, but even then, I like Madonna's earlier stuff, like a Prayer.
Never really got into Madonna. Obviously I've listened to her, and it's not like I hate all of her songs. I'm not saying that. I just never. When I was growing up, when I started primarily listening to music as a child, Britney was the shit at the time. Britney was the golden girl.
Oh, yeah.
Britney was everywhere. Like, I can vividly remember the first time I seen "I'm a Slave for You," the video, when she, when she got dirty.
I remember the VMAs. I remember the VMAs performance. I 100% do.
And like, so that
I was a VMAs kid.
I got in at the very, like, the end of the peak of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm talking like I was like 8 years old in 2003. So you know what I mean? Like I'm starting to at least understand the entertainment world a little bit. Like, what is this? Like, still not really
Yeah.
grasping it until I'm older. It's why I love what I love in music. It's why I love Paramore, because I was 13 years old being like, oh, puberty's happening. Let me break everything and just shake everything and let me Bring Me the Horizon and be my little emo kid that I was. So
Tim, you're gonna have
that's
your
just when
dinner
I
in a
got
minute,
in.
you goof.
I can
Sorry,
hear
JP's like literally standing at the door whining right now.
Give me food. Giddy's sitting
That's
right
exactly.
here. She's like, can I please get back up? I'm like, no.
Come here, Jim. Do you want to come?
Don't worry, JP. We'll stop very soon. But
don't worry about him. He'll just sit and whine.
Fascinating with Madonna. It doesn't surprise me. But where is Taylor in that list then? She's got to be somewhere in that.
Now, the one that I saw was like only top grossing artists. 12 best. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going with the always reliable telltales.com.
Oh, yes.
This article was written in February 2021. So we are looking good. So I'm just going to read because it's for some reason the 12 best, which is an odd number. At number 12, we've got Nicki Minaj, which was Beyonce only at 11. I say only at 11. Like, that's not the most. Adele is Pantheon, I think.
Yeah, all right.
Lady Gaga herself at 9. We've got Katy Perry at 8, which is surprising because was it you and I that were having the conversation about Katy Perry? Yeah, there's so many better songs.
You don't like Firework, wasn't it?
Oh, Firework, yeah, Firework's just bad.
I don't like the
Barbra
song
Streisand. Babs is at 7. Oh, of course, this one's Pantheon. Celine Dion.
We can't forget Celine. We can't forget
Celine. Oh my goodness,
I mean, it's doing more disservice to
on.
you than me, but it's. I mean, Celine. What a voice! What a voice!
That's my girl. That's my girl, Celine. Whitney Houston sitting at number 5. Mariah Carey at number 4. And let me tell you, if there's anybody that I'll throw my controversy on, don't like Mariah at all. Ever since she made fun of Eminem. In those videos. Here's where we've got Taylor. Taylor Swift at number 3.
I knew she was
right
up there.
now. Rihanna number 2 and Madonna number 1.
Rihanna. Oh, I forgot. You know what's weird? I know she's only
Rihanna's Pantheon.
Newer. Where's Ariana? Where's she going to sit in this? Where's Grande? Where's she going to sit in this when she's all said and done? Because she would probably be getting there, wouldn't she? I know she's newer, so she's had less work, I guess, a body of work.
Her work rate. Are we going to make this like a wrestling comparison?
Let's talk about her work rate. Meltzer said that she wasn't, this whole Sweetener album just didn't hit like her
People magazine
album.
Gave her 6 stars. It's the first time they've ever broke their star system. Wow, people, what are you thinking? Is there no integrity in the 5-star system anymore?
If this was a Madonna album, she would have got a 10.
If she performed this album live in the Tokyo Dome, right?
She's got to, to be in seriousness, she's got to, I'm not saying right now because she's still relatively new.
I think Thank You Next was her best, but that's just because I love that song.
Did you think it peaked there and then it's just kind of fallen?
I honestly, and it's nothing, like you say, it's nothing against the talent. I just think like, man, that song was too good. That album was too good.
That album was very good.
So good.
I love pop music. Good. I love music in general. I'll listen to anything. Whatever sounds good sounds good to me. I couldn't give a fuck about genre, to be completely fair with you. But
the only one I've got any sort of specific with is like with country music. I need to be in like a positive setting. I don't like sad, slow country music for the most part. I'm like a very
like that pop country, like Shania Twain.
Yeah,
I'm a very Shania Twain guy.
Oh, Shania's Pantheon. But I'm very much like a beer in my hand, 2-stepping country music listening to kind of guy. I'm not a very sitting in the back of my pickup truck, sad sort of country guy. You know what I mean?
Same here. But I did want to ask you one thing about Taylor before we wrap things on up. Her last 2 albums, Folklore and Evermore. How'd you feel about them? Because they're very different extensions of her. But
I loved them. I
they're my 2 favorite.
Loved them.
I loved them, especially Evermore.
I loved the release behind them. I loved the way she got them out there. I'm really excited. Taylor Swift, booking Taylor Swift going forward is very interesting. You know, she's got a lot of potential routes to go. Like, does she come back and just say, look, I'm touring Lover and then I'm touring the 2 folk albums? I think sooner rather than later here, we're going to see the Taylor Swift return to country tour. And let me tell you, that is one that I will cry for, because like I love me some pop Taylor Swift, but there is nothing like I have seen Taylor Swift live no less than 5 times.
How is she live, by the way?
Fantastic, and she only gets better. I also have not seen her since the 1989 tour, so I guess I can't really speak to recently. That's my favorite Taylor Swift album.
Really? Love that album to bits.
I really love that it.
From top to bottom. That album to me is like a perfect Taylor Swift album. I can always take out with Taylor. See, with Taylor with me is that I always pick songs out of an album with her that I'm like, I really like these, but these don't really hit as much for me. With 1989, there's not a song on that album that I dislike. I love that.
No, Fearless. I'll give the same to Fearless. That's same reasoning though. Like front to back, it is perfect. I'm very excited for the Taylor's version of Red. Ooh. Things are looking good on that.
There's like 30 songs on that bitch, right? That's huge. It's gonna be great. But I just got to say, I don't know if this is going to be like a bad pick out of the last 2 albums, but I absolutely adore Willow. I love that song so much. I
like Betty. I like Betty
too. They're the 2 ones that I always
Betty's
go to.
Good.
Betty's a great song.
It's a neat song.
Damn, I just love music. If there's anything that rivals professional wrestling with me, it's music. I can just sit and break down music. So I just love music. There's not a situation that I can think of that I'm like, you know what would make this better? Music. It's just better when music is playing. I just love
everything
music.
Everything is. It's like having a snack doing anything. It's like, when is it ever worse to have a snack, you know? Yeah. Oh my goodness. That'll be the next podcast we have. Love snacks. Food.
Love
starting
food.
January 2022.
It's just so good.
But you talk about the cultaholic comparison, like that's where we'll start to make the next brand. We'll move into video games later. Love Food is where we're going with 2022's launch.
It's just crazy. And to just wrap up the music situation, regardless of what you think about him, shout out to Michael Jackson. He is very instrumental in the music world, regardless of
what. A fan. I don't know if I'd put him on my pantheon of top female artists, but he's certainly a pantheon guy. I just wanted to put it in there.
I thought of him before, and I was like, when we were talking about like all these grossing people, MJ's got to probably be in the conversation between gender aside.
That'll be the next time I'm back. Next time we'll break it down. Next time we'll do tier listings. That's what I think we should do.
We would have fun with that. We'd probably argue though, Spencer.
We don't argue. We debate.
Well, true. I'll shake my ass again, and then you'll be like, "All right, you can put it on the top tier." You got it.
Love diminishing returns, Josh. I'm saving mine for when I really need it.
I'll overuse mine to the bitch of it all, and I don't care. I'll just run this thing into a ground. I'm like Disney. I'll just milk it until it's dry. So.
Toy Story 7 coming soon.
Oh God! Don't talk to me about that Toy Story franchise. 4 was abysmal, and I won't have anything less of it.
Really I haven't seen it, and I'm very happy I haven't. I like to think I'm pretty good about like cutting myself off. Like I haven't seen, for example, Anchorman 2 because I loved Anchorman. I don't want to ruin that for myself. Same thing as like Toy Story 3 was just it was so perfect. Ending. It was so perfect.
The tears, everything, just great. And then you go and watch Toy Story 4 and you're like, well, way to shit on all that, eh? But anyway, that's Disney for you. Disney love doing that kind of stuff. Shout out to Disney. I love you to bits, but you do milk stuff until it's very dry and then people dislike it.
Here's a controversial one to close it out. We'll leave them with a note of fun. Moana is the greatest Disney movie of all time.
Oh, Spencer, I'm not going to get into that argument with you because we'll be here for hours. No, it's not. You know what? I'll say this. This is my show. I can say what I want. I don't even think Moana is that good of a movie. I was actually quite disappointed in it.
We're going to have words after this.
But anyway, time to put you over. time to put yourself over, all of that kind of good stuff. Spence, I was saving this to the end because I didn't want to get too sappy. But you know how highly I think of you, and you know that you don't. I know you like to say that we're a team, but you are the head honcho. You are the dude at the end of the day. You're the Vince McMahon of the group. You make the decisions if you want to make the decisions, and you do a very good job. And as someone who is actively wanting more, and I'm a very motivated individual, I'll put myself over for a minute, but you are very good at leading, and I just look up to you in so many ways in terms of not only just content, but as a man, because you are a very good human being, and I think that's more important than content will ever be. No offense to anyone's content, but you are a great individual, and I do look at you in that respect in a lot of ways. So just continue to do what you do. You're killing it. You're doing a very good job at what you do, and just continue to, I'll speak for myself, continue to lead me in the path that I'm going, because at the end of the day, you did take a chance on me, and you didn't have to, and you reached out to me at the very beginning of Love Wrestling before a lot of other people who I think are just, not in a knock on me, just better at this kind of stuff than I am. And you didn't have to, and you did, and you took a chance, because, like you said, you didn't meet me until kind of after you reached out. So that's very humbling to me, and just the fact that I'm able to kind of expand my wings and do something that's hitting, because it doesn't always hit. It's very just appreciated. So thank you to you, and I won't get any more sappy, because I'll probably cry, because I'm a stupid little gay boy, so I cry at everything. So put yourself over. What have you got coming up? Do all the plugs, all the stuff.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I really, really appreciate that, dude, and thank you. You know, like, it's you took my line from me, but it's a team effort, and man, we wouldn't be the same without you. We wouldn't be the same without anybody on that site. And it means a lot that, in the same way, I'm sure, and again, with somebody like yourself who's been part of networks before and has been micromanaged and has had the negative side of things before, that means a lot to hear, dude. Thank you. No, if you guys want to keep up with the latest and greatest that we've got going on Love Wrestling, I'm pretty easy to find individually. It's at Spenny Love. I'm only really active on, like, the interaction end, I suppose, on Twitter. That being said, I am super interactive. Send me questions, comments, concerns. I am always happy to chat wrestling, music, anything in between. But if you want to keep up to date with not just myself, but anything that we've got going on, Love Wrestling can be found wherever videos are played or audio is listened to, at Love Wrestling CA. If you want to find everything in one fell swoop, we got a lot of great content contributors on the article end as well. It is lovewrestling.ca. I would encourage you guys to head there. Like I said, it's got everything from myself, Josh, Zach, anything from the Turnbuckle Rewind guys, Headlock Talk, any of the new contributors we've got. We've got so many people who hop on our live streams every week. So, like, I can't say it enough. We appreciate the hell out of the support wherever you have chosen to prior to this. And if you want to help out a little bit more, you can find us pretty well anywhere. And it is always, always appreciated. And Josh, same to you, man. It's always appreciated when I get to chat with you, whether it's personally, professionally, and this was a nice little mix of both, because it's always nice to sit down and just shoot the shit and then have it get thrown on a YouTube channel somewhere so that we can, continue to blow up the internet. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You've seen my name. You've seen Spencer's Twitter handle all throughout the show. Follow us on Twitter. We're pretty good followers. We tweet nonsense.
I think so. That's why we're good followers, as we tweet nonsense.
You know that I tweet nonsense. Spencer tweets nonsense, but all in good fun. We all just want to have a good time on Twitter. We're not negative Nellies, don't worry. But we're a good time. If you want to follow all of my kind of stuff, it'll be in the links in the description below. Legacy of is every single Sunday night, Monday morning, wherever you are in the world. Every single week, you can find me talking about great professional wrestling women and putting them over in the best way I can. It's a little mixture of facts, a little mixture of personal opinion, and a whole lot of love. That's how I kind of describe that show. It's Fans Choice Week, so there will be different kinds of people picking who I'm talking about on the Legacy of. It's a lot of fun. Queenie did this week's episode on Jazz. Jazz is a great professional wrestling pioneer that did a lot for women's wrestling in the early 2000s. Go check that out. I'll leave all the links to that in the description below. Other than that, stay safe, stay positive, stay happy, whatever you need to do. Just live your life and live it the best way you can. Until next time, goodbye, everybody.